Amber, thank you for joining me today on Pop Culture Unplugged.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm happy to be here.
It's great to have you on. I know we spoke right before the air about rule breakers. We'll jump more into the movie in a few minutes, but I love listening to journeys about how people get into acting. What inspired you to get into it?
I actually loved acting when I was really little. My parents put me in acting because I was a very shy kid and they wanted me to break out of my shell. So they threw me into acting and I ended up loving it. But I decided to put it on the back burner because I just had so much going on in school and my education. And it's a lot to be a parent of a child actor and it's a lot to be a
Yeah.
child actor. So it wasn't for me at that time. So put it on the back burner, fast forward to college, and the pandemic happens, and I'm back in
Yeah.
California. Did a lot of self-reflection, a lot of evaluating, and I felt like I was missing that creative outlet. And
Mm.
so I thought, maybe I'll go back to acting. Maybe I'll see how that fits in my life if I still like it, if I still have a knack for it, and if it's maybe something that if I either want to do as a hobby, like a pa just like a passion,
Yeah.
or if I want to do it as a career. Went really well. I loved it, and it turns out like I did have a knack for it because I was shortly after I was connected with my manager, and after that, this was my first audition.
Yeah.
This Rule Breakers project at the time it was titled Afghan Dreamers. I auditioned, I booked it. It was a really
Awesome.
fast, quick moving thing, but when something happens so seamlessly and so effortlessly, and this project was like right up my alley and what I was
Mm.
passionate about, it just feels that, things are meant to be and you're on the right path. You didn't force
Yeah.
it. So, um, I'm going to be in this industry for a while. I
That's
think it's a
great.
sign for me to be here, and I'm really happy to be a part of it.
Mm. Tell us a little about because I wrote it down here in my notes. So, dual degrees, political science, psychology. Was that like always like a backup plan? If the acting didn't pan out, you were gonna go do something with that?
Yeah, I studied political science before I did psychology. So that was like for sure I was
Okay.
going to do political science. And I was thinking about doing like diplomacy or
Okay.
something with the UN, so sort of that track, or maybe even policy making. But I booked this, and I started getting an interest in
Yeah.
acting before I booked this, and I took an acting class and I came back to California during the pandemic, and I loved it so much that I was like, we'll see what happens with policy.
Yeah.
We'll just see how it goes.
Mm.
And then I was able to later on add psychology as another major in my degree, and I thought that that would tie seamlessly with whether I went and did law school. Because psychology is
Mm.
so important, I think, in
Yeah.
understanding human behavior in law, but also understanding human behavior in acting. So it just became something that was applicable to both. So that's why I did psychology. But I was like, if acting doesn't pan out,
Right.
I'm glad I have my political science and psychology degrees because I can fall back and maybe go to law school. And that's not a bad plan at all. That's something that I'm also still very passionate about. But hopefully acting takes off because it's
Right.
a little bit more creative than law
Right.
school.
Well, now you
I
got a little bit of taste of it, so now you're like, oh, I want to keep going.
Oh my God. And that's what happens in this industry. It's like so addictive to have that initial like you get that bug. You get
Mm.
that acting bug and you want to be in more projects. And being on set is like a whole another experience that you're just trying to get back to set. Like you're trying to
Yeah.
get back on a set and be able to be creative and interact with your co-stars. And it's so fun.
Mm. Let's jump right into the movie then. You mentioned earlier you auditioned for this, so what was the description you were given of SC? Like, how did you like decide how you wanted to try out for this character and go for it?
Yeah. So, in the audition phase, I actually auditioned for both Tara and Esin. Those were
Okay.
both ones that they had me audition
Yeah.
for.
I see.
Um, and that was just like playing completely different like character. Each girl, it's so beautiful how you see it. Each girl has
Yeah.
their own character, very clearly their own persona. And so very differently, I was trying to play both of those girls in the audition process, but the description I got for both of them, I kind of got a background into what's going to happen to them in the film and how heavy it
Mm.
was for Tara, and I understood the family and societal expectations that were placed on Essen. And for Essen, I think what I really focused on was that finding your voice story arc.
Mm.
I wanted to make sure in the audition that I portrayed her as a girl who has grace, who has humility, who has like this not unsureness about herself, but this fear of like putting herself out there.
Mm.
And so that's really what I tried to bring to the audition. And I think they liked it because
Right.
I was able to book it and be on the project. But that was something that I was really passionate about bringing to the screen was that unsureness that she had of herself and that finding her
Mm,
voice arc. And she
right.
does it in a beautiful way where she is able to lean on the other women around her. So trying to tie all of that into my audition scene.
Mm. You mentioned the voice. Was there like, like I noticed in the movie too, like she comes off a little quiet at first, and that's when she starts, you see her growing throughout this film too. Was there a certain scene or a specific scene that challenged you and made you like resonate with her even more?
I think there's two scenes. One is when we're dancing with the girls. I love
Okay.
to dance, and I think it's like even if you're an introvert, because at times I can be a very huge introvert, doesn't mean that you don't have passions like dancing and like you enjoy those
Mhm.
things with people that you're comfortable with. So one of those, that was that scene. I also think it really humanizes Afghan girls and shows them as like being able to have
Yeah.
fun. So I really related with that scene, and I really enjoyed having that scene with the girls, and I think that it showed Essen's when she's comfortable with other people, how
Yeah.
Essen can be.
Mm.
The other scene that I think really stood out in finding her voice was the scene where she has her big moment and she goes up on stage and she has her, I don't want to give too many spoilers, but
Yeah.
she has her big moment. She has her big moment and she has to break through some of the fears that she has in order to get to that place. And there's that unsureness and like complete fear, but she looks out and she sees the faces of the girls and her team and her coach and her
Mm.
leader supporting her. And that's a beautiful thing. She draws the courage from them.
Mm.
And I think
One
that
of
that's what
one
we
of
do in real life.
yeah, one of my favorite moments is when she stands up to her family
Oh
and
yeah.
it delivers that like I feel like it's a very powerful speech. What was it feel? What was it like filming that scene?
Yeah,
What
it
like
was
what went through your mind filming that scene too?
oh God. I mean that scene at the are you talking about the party scene when she's like
Yeah,
yeah,
when she
so
talks about like the women's rights and
yeah. She has this moment. There's just a couple moments throughout the film where she's like
yeah,
slowly building that courage. So
mm,
one of the moments is like when oh God, when her uncle comes and gets her from like a party. Again, I don't want to give too many spoilers, but when her
yeah, I
uncle
know.
comes and gets her from a party and she stands and there's that fear in her and she ultimately complies, but like there's that moment of hesitancy of do I go? Do I not go? Do I stay? Do I stick to what I believe in?
Mm,
She has that battle within herself. And then later on, she decides and she tells this to Roya that her uncle's washing her hands of her and whatever happens next, that's her business. It's kind of like that ultimate statement that she's going to be the one now making the decisions and taking control of her
mm,
own life. She's going to be the captain of her own life. And then down the line, there's also scenes where she has to kind of break barriers of what her family expects her to by
yeah,
being more out there, being more on camera, being, having her pictures taken, having, that just finding the joy in the family of support in the people that she's surrounded by on the team instead of from
mm,
her family, just to
yeah,
look for it elsewhere.
right. What kind of impact do you like hope this film has with the audience and especially with like younger women?
I mean, I really hope some girls go and join STEM. Like, I hope they
Okay.
pursue a STEM career. That would be beautiful to
Yeah.
see more women in a male-dominated field. I think that they were much needed, in STEM fields. I also hope that, and this is something that the cast and we've talked about, there's a whole generation out there who haven't built their impressions of Afghanistan like a lot of us have. What we see on the news, what we see in the media, what we see in Hollywood, there's a whole generation out there who has yet to form that impression. And we're hoping that when they see this film, this can be their first impression. It's a much more vibrant picture. It's a picture that
Yeah.
shows that Afghan girls are just like every other teenage girl
Right.
on the planet. And I really hope that they feel connected to Afghanistan rather than so otherworldly because I think that that's sometimes when things become not our problem and we
Yeah.
lack some of the empathy for other countries when we see them as being these like completely otherworldly figures from a different planet. And so I'm hoping that this new generation can look at the film and connect with the girls, connect with the culture, and see that it's a beautiful place. It's just been through a lot of tough times.
I don't want to keep talking about spoilers and everything, but how would you describe her journey from the beginning to the end?
I think it's one of courage
Mm,
and one of leaning on the people around her. I think that she's able to draw the courage because she has such supportive women and just a supportive coach, who back her at every moment and every turn, when she is afraid of, having encounters and interactions with other boys, there's people assuring her that she's okay, she's safe, she's good, she's going to be okay. And over time, she's able to build that courage and kind of break away from what her family has taught her or made her afraid of to become something that is much more brave, but also much more vocal. And I
Mhm.
and I hope that every girl can look at Essen's story and see how important their voice is, that it needs to be heard, and that that's the way to make change is to use your voice.
Mhm. This being your first role, what's the one thing that you learned that now it's gonna stick with you probably for the rest of your life?
Oh my gosh. You know, I say this in the nicest way possible. I think
Yeah.
I've learned that the job of being an actor is to be an actor. Like you go on set,
Mm,
like I don't know how to explain it better than that, but you go on set and there's so many different things coming at you,
yeah.
so many different things happening, and there's everybody, and I'm a bit of a um like a like I wear the pants a lot, you know, like I'll be like, oh, I can help with this, I can help with that,
Yeah.
you know, and you just have to go on set and be like, that's not mine forte. I am the actor. That's what my job is to do. And so I
Mhm.
don't I let the creatives be the creatives in each of their own fields because ultimately, even if I can't see the big picture, if even if any other people can't see the big picture, you know, the other actors,
Yeah.
or maybe the costume designer can't see the big picture, and maybe, you know, the set designer can't see the big picture. The director and the producer, they are the ones who are coordinating everyone so that there is a big picture. So me
Yeah.
as an actress, I might not be able to see it, but there is one. And then seeing it on film come out so beautifully because we each specialized in our own job and did our own job very well. It's like we're each a piece of the puzzle. And not to say that there
Mm,
isn't collaboration, because there is at every avenue,
yeah.
but it's beautiful when you kind of know what it is that you're strong at, your strongest, your strength. You know, what is your
Yeah.
strength? And you go on set and you nail your strength, and then how it continues to impact the larger picture. And so that
Mm.
I'll never forget. Every time I go on a set, I think I got it like a how to be on set 101 from this project. So I'll
There
never
you go.
forget that.
Yeah. Rule Breakers, it's an important story that everybody gets to see now. Is there another role or story that you're hoping that you can explore next?
I really like this idea of playing, like doing a biopic. You know, I wasn't the
Okay.
one who was playing a real person because we kind of
Mm,
have like an amalgamation of some of the girls because there was
yeah.
originally 6 girls on the team. But I really like the idea of playing a biopic, like Nicole got to do with Roya. I think it's so beautiful to be able to learn someone's mannerisms, learn the way that people talk,
Yeah.
and like especially those ones that get really nitty-gritty and the behaviors and the mannerisms. Those are so fascinating to me. So I'd love to do a biopic. And other than that, I think action would be really
Okay.
cool.
Yeah, that's good.
I've always been a fan of action. I've watched a lot with my dad, and I just think it would be really cool to try my own stunts, you
Mm.
know, and try to blend that with acting, like authenticity, because doing your own stunt work creates a level of authenticity, of fear, of nerves that I think I would love to explore on set. So
Mm.
hopefully something action related would be really
Hopefully,
cool.
hopefully that's on your bucket list for 2025.
That would be amazing. I would love that. Or a musical. I
Mm.
seriously, I love so many different things. So my genres are vast and wide, but a musical would be
Great.
fun too because there is
Yeah.
dancing, it's like your own stunts in a way, and singing too. And so something where it's like you get to play around with different components of acting too, like
Mm.
really put your whole body into it.
It doesn't hurt. Get a little bit of everything.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
what's next for you now? Any other projects that you have that you're going to work
Nothing I
on?
can
Is there anything you can tell?
share right
Okay.
now, but there will definitely be stuff. So I hope everybody will be following along, and I'm so excited for the journey. Right now, I'm super invested in seeing how Rule Breakers is connecting with
Yeah.
audiences, and I'm just trying to be super present with all the promotional
Yeah.
things that we've got going on. And we have a ton of screenings with universities and screenings at like government affiliates. So it's going to be really awesome to see the impact that this film has. So I'm being super present for that right now and trying to be as present as I can be possibly be while also being excited for future projects.
Mm. Did I read somewhere that it broke some kind of record for Angel Studios also? It did
I
something,
think,
right?
you know, the audience score did
That's
really, really
okay.
well. The
Okay.
audience score is at 98%
Yeah.
right now. So it's incredible the impact that it's had. We have an amazing, I think last I checked, it was 81% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Okay.
And it's been resonating with audiences really well. The thing that I keep seeing that audiences are saying is that they're finding every person can find a different message from this film.
Yeah.
And ultimately, seeing a different side of Afghanistan, seeing something that is so hopeful at this time, I think is what really is connecting with audiences. And Bill did a fantastic job. Everyone on
Yeah.
set, cast, crew did an amazing job with the project. So really happy, and hopefully more people will go out to theaters, support local theaters,
Right.
and watch the film. Yeah.
Amazing. Well, good luck, Amber. Let's end this with how can the listeners now and the viewers find you on social media, keep up with you? I noticed that you've been posting some things on the movie.
Yes, no, absolutely. Instagram is my best friend right now. That is the social media platform that I use most often, and it's just going to be at Amber Afzali, so my first and last name. And that's going to be, I'll post like behind the scenes, I'll post upcoming stuff. I'll just be posting a lot. So
There you
if they
go.
want to follow me, they can go on there.
Perfect. Amber, I want to thank you for giving me a few minutes today. Good luck. Let's get you back on down the road with other projects.
Absolutely, I'd love to. Thank you so much for having
Thank
me.
you.